Hey, good afternoon. Scott Luton and Greg White with you here on Supply Chain Now. Welcome to today's Thursday live stream. Greg, how are we doing?
I'm doing great. I'm really looking forward to this. So I have not got to talk to our guest, who shall remain nameless for the moment, on the air before, and I'm pretty excited about it. The pre-show was really interesting.
Really excited. Not only do we have two great guests, but we're going to be talking leadership, one of our favorite topics. And so stand by because you're going to be wanting to run through brick walls once you hear back from our two guests here today, which shall remain nameless. Let's share a couple of programming items before we get started here today. So first off, Greg, we're going to talk about a couple of learning opportunities here in a minute. But today we dropped an excellent conversation on Tequila Sunrise. It's already gotten a ton of feedback across social. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, well, it's been a big week on Tequila Sunrise, but today we dropped an interview with Don Salvucci Favier, who is CEO and Chief Product Officer at Green Screens AI. So I got to tell you, Green Screens and AI, talk about the irony of that name. We actually do talk about the irony of that name in the interview. And Don is a fantastic supply chain and product pro, an incredible incredible leader of any kind, but who happens to be a woman and is doing a great job with this company and has built a product. I mean, her product chops are top notch. She's built a product that makes it easy, even in a high turnover industry like freight brokerages and logistics service providers generally, for their people to adapt to new technology and make their business a lot more profitable. So it's a really cool interview. We went a little bit long. So Steve Keaveney, you're going to be right up against the edge of your 45 minutes of workout on this one.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to finishing. I started it. I've got to finish it, but fascinating conversation and big key phrase you used there, that adoption of new technology. I think some of the best leaders help their teams do just that, right? Because change is tough regardless, technology or non-technology related. So look forward to that. You can find that at Tequila Sunrise, wherever you get your podcast from, TECH, Tequila Sunrise. Shots are not required, but encouraged.
That's right. Hey, and can I just one more thing? We also did a live stream with Dr. Sally Eves, her Tech for Good initiatives. Man, that was a powerful live stream. We're going to actually drop that in the podcast channel in the next couple weeks as well. And that will be or may already be available on the Tequila Sunrise YouTube channel.
That's right. A fascinating conversation. That Tech for Good. We need more Dr. Sally Eves in our business communities. I mean, really just tireless passion for serving others. So great interview there. Enjoyed that one yesterday. Greg, replay coming out soon. All right. So speaking of learning opportunities, I want to share a couple of quick items here. So we were just talking about Tequila Sunrise. Well, if we ever need a drink, it's during these crazy times like right now. So,
Amen.
We are really proud to partner with a bunch of great groups from Dell, Six River Systems, Project Vert, and of course our friends at the Reverse Logistics Association.
Right.
For a pretty cool event on March 3rd. It's going to be a mix of a panel discussion featuring leaders from those organizations, networking, and a site visit of a company on the move, Project Vert. We'll learn more about that here momentarily. But the cool thing is, so Pratik and Kavan and Peter and Anna Mary and all Gary and you name it. Patrick Kelly's with us here today. We'll say hello in a minute. If you register today, how cool is this? Six River Systems is going to send you a professional adult beverage mixer kit. I can't remember the name of the drink, but you got to register today because you got to give it time to get shipped out.
I'll be right back, Scott.
I think there's a mixologist that's going to lead you through how to make like a really professional highfalutin drink. So you got to register today so they can get it to you. Unfortunately, they can't ship it internationally. So I think you've got to be in North America to receive that. But regardless, y'all tune in for a great conversation there on March 3rd. I think the link is in the show notes. And then finally, one of our newest webinars we just got booked. Hey, Industry 4.0 is not a future concept. It's been happening. It's been around. Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. That's Industry 4.0, right?
LL. Dropping the rhymes. Love it.
On this webinar, March 23rd, we've got Mike Lackey and Tobias Hofmeister, which is with a Porsche company called MHP Americas. They're going to be giving you examples across industries, but especially manufacturing, where applications of Industry 4.0 that you can benefit from and be in the know by people that are doing it, not just talking about it. So y'all check that out. The link to register for that is also in the comments. All right, so Greg, we got to say hello to a few folks, right?
Seems like it. More than a few.
More than a few. I'm going to see if my fingers can keep up. So Pratik, hey, Pratik, how you doing? Great to have you here. I'm looking forward to nailing you down for an interview at some point soon. I got to reach back out to you on that. Kavan, great to see you here. Anna Mary, good to see you here, fellow Atlanta.
Back. Good deal.
Now, Kavan, congratulations. Please drop in the comments. You had some recent recognition. I can't remember the name of the award or the recognition, but drop that in the comments. I want to recognize that for sure.
Yeah, he mentioned that yesterday on the live stream, and sorry we didn't get to that. As Kavan, as you know, we were flying through that discussion.
A good discussion. Great discussion. Peter, hey, great to see you back. He got the notification this time. Wonderful. What we love about Peter, beyond all his goodness and his expertise and his journey, and we got an interview coming up, but he gives us feedback that allows us to get better. So Peter, keep that coming. Kenna, great to see you here via LinkedIn. Patrick Kelly, host of the
Produce Podcast. Sorry, the Produce Podcast.
That's right.
Right.
Gary Smith.
Produce Industry Podcast, right? We got to get all the words in there. Patrick, correct me, please.
Gary Smith, as always, from Roslyn, New York, where I
but look, he didn't say snowy Roslyn this time, so things are looking up, Gary.
Things are looking up. Always things are looking up. Mark Erickson, hey, speaking of the Reverse Logistics Association, great to have you here, Mark. Rashid is with you. Let's see here. That is one creative company name over there. Thank you, Rashid, and thanks for joining us via LinkedIn. Vinay, let's see here. And I think Kavan got back. So here's the recognition. Kavan got the best theoretical award in industrial engineering.
Right.
And you got to be like a rocket scientist to nail that down, Greg.
Maybe an engineer.
That's true.
It wouldn't hurt to be a rocket scientist also.
What was the giveaway there, Greg? What did I miss? No, but great. Congrats, Kavan. That is outstanding and really, really awesome to see. Okay. And by the way, Greg says the snow is melting in Roslyn.
Boy, love to hear that.
And Cindy finally got notification. Cindy, thank you for that. You know, LinkedIn's a little bit tricky sometimes.
Yeah.
We're going to our team's going to have to jump in on that notification engine and see how we can optimize that. So,
well, you know, also you can follow us on Facebook and YouTube and be notified when we go live as well. Or I think Twitter notifies you as well. Correct. So
I think you're right.
Yeah,
I think you're right. But regardless, appreciate you joining us in, Cindy. Okay. So Greg, big show here today. We got two of our favorite guests. One's been on countless times. The other one, we finally shared his story on Veteran Voices a few weeks back and really got a ton of feedback around that. So let's welcome in Enrique Alvarez, Managing Director with Vector Global Logistics, and Charles Walker, VP Business Development with Aurora Global Solutions. Charles, on time.
Hey, Charles.
Enrique, just in time.
You know what I love about having Enrique on the show is he makes me look prepared.
Hey, guys.
Great. Hey, I love that. As Greg said, I'm blatantly steal Greg's joke on the front end. You look like we've got a softball team ready to go, ready to play a doubleheader today. Enrique, I love it.
That's right. That's right. We ready.
We do need to put numbers on the back of those.
We should have a team once we actually can go back to somewhat normal.
We're going to do it. We're going to do it soon. Well, hey, so nice to have you both back. We admire so many different elements of y'all's journey and your give back and your leadership POV. So we're going to dive into some of that here today. But let's see here. we're going to start, before I turn the baton over to the one and only Greg White, we're going to start with our not so lightning round. So Charles, how you doing? Great to have a repeat guest back.
Good to go. I'm airborne all day, man. I'm good to go.
Love that. All right. So, hey, really
Thank
quick.
you for serving, Charles.
Absolutely.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
So to Amanda and Clay, thanks for your help here today. If we can drop in the comments our full length interview with Charles on Veteran Voices, where you can really get a sense of his journey. But in the meantime, Charles, let's to you and Enrique, let's talk about, first question is your favorite recent read or one of your favorite places to get news. And Charles, let's start with you.
My favorite place is YouTube. I go to YouTube and look for positive things like TED Talks or anything that can motivate me early in the morning instead of the news, because the news is going to tell you all the negative stuff, who got shot, who got killed. I don't need to hear that. What I do, I get up early in the morning, go to something positive, get my juices flowing, and I go from there, man. So I go to YouTube for my news, because if I hear it from the news on a secondhand person, it won't have the same impact on me. But if I look at it, it got an impact. So I go to positive first, then everything else is secondary.
Love it.
So is there a particular channel you go to for that? I'm just curious.
I go to a lot of mental health, mental science stuff, mysticism type talks, TED Talks, anything that's on my mind with supply chain and how to do it better, business plan writing, stuff like that. Anything with Napoleon Hill, Andrew Carnegie, those kind of talks, I go to that every morning. Every morning. I don't miss it. Yeah.
Love it.
Outstanding.
Love it. All right. So, Enrique, I want to pose the same question to you, but first, AA says, I think that's become Enrique's signature entrance.
Man, AA, he is a rocket scientist, so he figured that out quick.
Yeah.
So, Enrique, you're one of your favorite recent reads or best places for news.
So I got to say that, Charles, I'm 100% with you on that. I actually have been trying to proactively shy away from the news in general.
Right.
And I think that the media is a little bit biased these days, and it's always about like the negative aspects of what humans do at every single time in the week. So if you ask me, I'd rather not read the news. Now, when it comes to the industry, I'll go to joc.com. I mean, there's a lot of different things happening in logistics. And so I definitely want to be mindful of that. And I take a quick peek at their articles. They're really good articles. And when it comes to interesting books, I actually have just started. I like biographies. So I started this one, Elon Musk, which so far it's been interesting. But I don't like to see news that often.
Well, it kind of speaks to your Logistics with Purpose series here at Supply Chain Now, which is, focuses on the really good, meaningful, impactful, positive stories of leaders that are making good things happen. And we love that series here at Supply Chain Now. It's it really mirrors, Greg, it mirrors Enrique's disposition, personality.
Well,
right?
We talked about this a little bit with Sally Eves yesterday, too, is, look, let's face it, we're the future. Traditional media is dying, and they have to do exceptional things to get people to watch. So hyperbole, unfortunately, has become the tone of news. So, but I think what was encouraging for me was, and I guess I've seen it some too, was Sally said she is starting to see a turn where certain organizations are starting to really try to enunciate the positive in the news, because the way that whole discussion kind of evolved was, I asked her if she saw the world as it's presented in the press, but because I almost never do.
That's right.
And she said the very same thing. And so I think, in that show, we kind of encouraged people to go talk to people, whether you do it in a forum like this, or if you can do it in person, but engage with people. Right. And I think you get a lot more accurate viewpoint of what the world is really like.
That's right. I agree, Greg, because just check your daily interactions each day with people and see what happens the way they're presented, right? Yeah. And then also, Enrique, another good book, man. I've been reading this for years, but I always go back to it, man. Discover Your Strengths. And it focuses on highlighting all your strengths, whereby your weaknesses will be isolated, and you can work on those later. If you look at it, Michael Jordan did that a lot. He shot a lot. He hit a lot, but he missed a lot. But nobody remembers that. So I look at books like that, and I read things like that to keep my mind open to things that I see in the news. I know it's not really happening like that, not on a large scale like they putting it. So the people that you interact with every day, it's who you are too. What kind of person are you if you attracting that? You know what I'm saying? So you have to be very careful about looking at negative news or just any kind of negative comments, man. There's so many ways that we can do other things with our time,
Excellent point.
I agree with Charles and Greg, and to Greg's point, I think if enough people listens to bad news all the time, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and all of a sudden everyone's just paranoid about everything and everyone, and we're just feeding the beast, if you will, with all this negativity, and someone just has to make a stand and say no more. Just share with us good news, or present a more objective view of what's going on, because the sky's not falling.
Yeah, I really think that I can't say that it's happening yet, and it's certainly the tide has not risen on it, but I feel like there is an undercurrent of expectation and demand there, don't you? Yeah, that's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Podcasts are going to play a big role in that as well, Greg, as you said. I mean, I've been starting to listen to TED Talks and podcasts, and a lot more than the normal media sources, if you will.
Yeah.
All right. So continuing in true, as stated fashion, the non-lightning round. We're gonna. I want to share a couple comments here. Cindy,
if our community doesn't know how this works already, right?
Thanks.
It's true. That's right. Cindy is with Charles, but probably the sentiment that all of you are sharing. Peter says, "Hey, clickbait is the order of the day, sadly and unfortunately." Yeah. That's a good point. Cindy also says, "Concentrate on what you want more of." That's a good point.
Absolutely.
That's powerful.
And let's say AJ Hardwick says, "Get your news from more than one source." That's a great point via Twitter, I believe.
Yeah, I mentioned yesterday my parents were hippies. Charles, I mentioned yesterday that my parents are hippies, and one of the things they said to me early is don't trust authority, which backfired on them as I got older. but I mean, questioning authority is a natural thing to do, and I think one of the things that you have to encourage yourself to do is to even question your own biases, right? Because you're going to be inclined to, if you read something, you're going to be inclined to like it if it confirms your bias. And I think you need to always challenge that bias.
Confirmation bias. You're right.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great point. Okay. Let's see here. Let's move to the second question, and then we're going to dive fuller into leadership. Let's talk about one habit you picked up during the pandemic environment, Charles and Enrique, that you actually are glad you did, not some of the other habits. If you're like me, maybe. Charles, let's start with you. What's one habit you're glad you picked up in the last 15, 18 months?
I'm glad I picked up the habit of staying focused on one thing at a time. Before the pandemic, I was scattered, man. There was a lot of things that come into your life. You just free willy-dilly. Somebody might call you and say, "Hey, we want to talk about this multi-level marketing stuff. It's not in your wheelhouse. It's not interesting to you, but you'll get involved." But now I'm more focused on exactly what I want to do. The people, places, and things that are important in my life, that's what's important now. I focus on the supply chain, being the best small business that we can be, working with the best people, and then staying focused every day. So I think pandemic has helped me become more focused on what I want to do ideally and what I want to be, man. So I think that's a good thing that came out of it for me.
Love that. And I'm going to blatantly steal your scientific measurement there of free willy dilly. I'm going to take that and rip
that. Sounds like that. I thought he was channeling you, Scott.
Right. I love it. Charles, I love it. We have to book you the next eight live streams.
I'm all in, man. I'm all in.
All right. Enrique, same question. What's one habit you're actually glad you picked up over the last 15, 18 months?
Yeah, one thing that I'm sure, a lot of people experienced as well, but I actually travel a lot. And last year I didn't travel at all. It's been like 1 year without visiting any, I was going to say hospital, but it's the airport, any airport, which is great. Now, in terms of the habits, it's basically two. One, I've been trying to do meditation through like one of those free applications. So I do it like 10 minutes, at least 3 times a week. And that has helped me. And it's been a really fun, interesting experiment to do. And the other one, since I haven't been traveling as much, is just hanging out more with my kids at home and just not just literally hanging out with them as opposed to you driving them places.
That's good. That's awesome.
That's a great tip. All right. So from here, I want to share just a quick comment here from Peter. Speaking of Michael Jordan, which I bet could still suit up today and help the Atlanta Hawks climb in the standings.
I agree. He probably helped the Falcons too.
That's right. Peter says, great point, Charles. Michael Jordan's shooting percentage, probably all time, is 49.7%, means he was not afraid to fail more than half the time. And of course, anytime I hear Michael Jordan come up, the dance is such a incredible miniseries. There's so many business and life lessons throughout that journey. ESPN, I mean, there's a reason why they're the biggest name in sports. It's just remarkable what they've been producing via that series. So, okay. So, Greg, where are we going next?
Well, I guess we ought to ask these cats a little bit about what they know about leadership. We know that they're both we know, but I think our community would love to learn that they're both outstanding leaders. So Charles, let's start with you. What are a couple or three leadership lessons you have learned in this time of focus over the last almost 12 months, boys, right? I mean, in just about 2 weeks, it'll be 12 months, March 13th, right? So
I think, man, for me, Greg, I've learned to be confident in a leadership role. And you don't have to be at the top of the food chain to be a leader. You can lead from any position you're in. I've learned to be confident in that and then create other leaders, because I like to share my knowledge that got me to where I am today with other leaders. People call them followers, but I'd rather create leaders. You know, if I'm a warehouse manager, I want a guy that when I'm absent, I want him to just take charge in my position. He don't have to call me unless it's critical. You know what I'm saying? I trust his leadership because I trained him to step in that role, and I want him to get that role, because if I got a boss over me, I'm shooting for that role. You see what I'm saying? I'm learning from him. It's a trickle-down effect where we just create other leaders where they can take care of their family better, they can become better human beings, and we have a better society. But if everybody says, "Oh, I'm creating followers," I don't want to create followers. I want leaders on my team. I want them to lead in my absence and in my presence. So that's what I've learned about leadership. Be confident in that position. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of a guy smarter than you. He's coming to get it. Anything that use that guy for his strengths, and it's going to be a team effort. So that's what I've learned, to just be confident in a leadership role. Take charge of the role, you know?
Yeah, it's fantastic. That you can lead from anywhere is a particularly important message, right? I mean, you are either shaped by your environment or you shape your environment. And
absolutely,
that in and of itself is a leadership quality.
Exactly.
That's powerful stuff. Yeah, you're right, Scott. I'm going to need to break out here and run through a brick wall.
Well, and by the way, I
can't believe I missed this before. I am so glad to be here.
I'm telling you, just give Charles a mic, and he's going to inspire you. By the way, speaking of inspiring, Azalea Davis, I spent a little time with her this morning, and I cannot wait to share that interview with our community. As she points out, we did touch on the concept that Charles was sharing. Some good stuff. Sean says, great comment. More leaders, less followers. I'm with you. Let's see. AA says some bad habits he picked up. What
do you mean bad habit? That's a great habit.
All right. So Greg, are we gonna we want to go with
I'd like to pose the same question to you, Enrique. I know some of the answers because we've had the fortunate happenstance of actually sharing. Remember, Enrique, when we used to see people, we used to actually share that with you. So we've experienced it, but I'd love for our community to hear about it.
Yeah. Yes. No. And I would basically say the top three for me, especially this last year, would be one, the why, right? Like just clear messaging. Like, why are you doing what you're doing? What's the big picture here? Why are these goals important? Where's this company heading? But not this year, not in the next 2 years. The decisions that you're making now have to be in line with what the company that you want to be in 5-10 years from now. So that's very important, and very, very clear with your team about that. The second one, it's for me, I really enjoy doing this on a personal level, which is just caring, right? Just cheering, empowering, but really caring what's going on with your team and just listening and, just being there and leading with the example, right? Not being afraid of rolling up your sleeves and doing the things that you're expecting others to do for the company or for you. Right. And the last one is, which is the hardest for me, and I'm actually working on this personally, it's just stepping back. You gotta let people do what they do and gotta let them fail and make mistakes and then go back and train and coach and mentor, but you gotta let go. So you just gotta make sure you're doing those three things for me to kind of set good leadership examples for everyone else.
So
that's
both
good,
of y'all.
man.
Oh, it's great stuff.
That's good, man.
And
that is Karen, man. Karen. When you said Karen, I posted something about Karen this morning on LinkedIn. You know, people always say, "Oh, I love my grandmother. I love this, I love that." Have you been to see your grandmother lately? People do things and they take care of things they care about, man. If somebody cares about something, you know, there's a guy that cares about something, they take care of it. You know, if that's your family, you care about your family, you're gonna take care of your family. You can say you love me all day, but do you take care of the things that I need to support what I need to support? Man, you don't care. That's just what it is, man. People get the words mixed up. They play these words. I love you. I haven't seen you in about 12 years, man. You know.
So along these.
And Charles, well, to your point, it's all about, so caring, just the easier way of kind of putting care into action is take its time. If you're spending time to do the things that you claim you care about, then you are actually caring. If not, it's just like a whatever word boss or something.
Acknowledging.
Yeah.
Yes. There you go. So I got to share some of these comments. You are eliciting a lot of responses. I'm going to share these in a minute, but really quick. I heard, and I can't remember who said it. This was years ago. He opened a keynote address by saying that if you want to find out what you care about, check your calendar and check your checkbook.
There you go.
And Charles,
that is
to your
really
point,
good. Yeah.
All right. So let's share some of these comments here. Patricia says leadership creation is precious and should be nurtured more often. Great point about being comfortable being a leader and not feel threatened by it. Great point.
Right. Yeah.
Mark agrees. Very inspiring. I'm telling you, you could hook up the city electrical power grid to Enrique and Charles and be good for years. Anna Mary says, leading by example. Yes. Right. No lip service. Cindy says, it's so true. A lot of leaders are type A personalities and have a difficult time letting their people get things done with the possibility of failure. Excellent point.
Absolutely.
Guilty.
Rashid says, everyone has time for everything. It's all about priorities. And Charles says probably Charles probably telling Charles, well said, either Charles or Enrique. So great to have you here with us on LinkedIn, Charles. Okay. So Greg, where are we headed next?
I think we ought to see what's going on in logistics since, you know, this is a supply chain show.
Yeah.
And these two are both in the logistics space. So Charles, tell us about what you see going on. What is a dynamic, an issue, an opportunity, a happening that really has your attention right now?
Right. Yeah. For us, you know, we're deeply involved with the PPE, the personal protective equipment right now that's flowing out to the hospitals for the COVID-19. And I see a lot of other people and entities getting involved in that process and looking at it from a financial standpoint instead of, we've been doing it for quite a while. And I think that the shipping of those items that come from overseas, the cost is fluctuating on a daily basis for shipping and receiving it. You know, you might order it and then it takes a while at the port, you know, and you have to pay all this money. Sometimes the cost of shipping is higher than the actual product. Right. So with small business, it's kind of, you have to do some strategic partnerships here to try to get with these companies that got the finances and the overflow to support you on that. And another thing is that I've seen there, and I'm staying abreast of these new acronyms that's showing up. OTG, when the guys order, they say on the ground. I'm like, I'm a military guy. I love acronyms, but they just create them out their butt. You know, like, OTG. It's like this, man. They say it on the ground because they don't want to be involved with the shipping costs. Okay, so they'll say, okay, Charles, do you have this on the OTG? And so people like OTG, but man, being in the military, we are used to it, and so I just always break it down for people. It's like, oh, he mean on the ground. So he's trying to avoid paying the shipping costs and everything. So you want to stay abreast of the changes in the field of supply chain because it changes every day, and the prices fluctuate when there's no regulations or nobody's watching in the hen house what's going on. So people do what they want to do. So you want to be careful and like that, and be communicating like we're doing now, putting those things out there, and work with good, honorable people in their business, And so I think that's one of the things I'm looking at now: PPE, shipping costs, and how to sustainability.
So, Charles, your company, Aurora, tell the community what you guys do.
Actually, what we do, we do more partnerships with other small businesses like Cardinal, Medline, and things like that. So we can order the supplies and equipment that the VA need, the hospitals need, and we get those things at a wholesale price, and we sell it back to those entities at a retail price to keep us afloat. And then we got a warehouse here in Atlanta where we ship on demand, just in time. We can sometimes drive it down or things like that. But the main thing we're working on now is medical equipment, supplies and equipment, because that's going to be around for quite a while. The face masks, face shields, all these things, and the syringes and all that, because everybody got to get a shot. And once they give you a shot, they got to change gloves all day long. So the gloves and things like that. So we just stand abreast on. That's what we do. We supply supplies and equipment to all government, local, federal, and state agencies. Yeah.
Awesome. Enrique, I have a feeling you might know a little bit about shipping and PPE. I can't wait to see how you leverage off what Charles just told us to give us some insight on what you're seeing in the marketplace, because I saw a lot of head nodding there, and I know enough about your business to know that you've been dealing a lot with PPE as well. So what has your mind share right now?
It's been a very interesting kind of couple of months when it comes to like the PPE industry and how it actually has flown from all of it driven by the coronavirus, but how it has actually shifted from different manufacturing facilities around the world and in the United States. And some of those very clear examples is like small beer companies basically manufacturing hand sanitizer and factories like that were used to make something completely different had to reinvent themselves in such a short period of time here in the US and China and the rest of the world to produce masks and face shields and hand sanitizers and respirators and so many things. And it's been very it's been incredible to witness and be part of such a movement, right? And it's been powerful, and it's had its challenges for sure, as Charles was saying, and that just product being on the ground and all the opportunity that caused was created a huge vacuum in the supply chains, and it created a huge vacuum in the way that people thought about certain products that was filled with a lot of different things, right? Very good, respectable companies, but also incredibly shady brokers. Like, so PPE, Charles, I mean, we did it at the beginning of the year, and we actually helped charter a couple of planes full of PPE. But for me, the couple of impressions that I got here and there is super shady. I mean, just been...
Yeah, be careful.
You got to be super careful. And we went from like just becoming logistic companies to having to request not only OTG product, but to give me a video of you at the warehouse calling my name and proof of life. And I'm like, I've never ever, right, for product, I've never ever even experienced that. So it was very, very interesting, to say the least.
Right.
Yeah, there has been and will continue to be a lot more vetting of product and global supply chains to come, so we avoid some of what you're speaking to, Enrique. I want to go back a second. So clearly leadership has gotten that's what got everybody going earlier, and not taking anything away from logistics. But I want to Rhonda joined us, and talking about leadership and talking about what Enrique was talking about, where you got to kind of pull back sometimes, right? And let your team not just succeed but also fail, right? But I think also an important part about pulling back is taking those moments where you're regathering your mental sanity, right? You're taking a minute to not do, but think. And Rhonda has got so everybody, folks should connect with Rhonda. Rhonda's with part of the Global Trans team that I bet everyone here knows about. but also she's I don't know, listened to part of a podcast that she produced not too long ago, last week I think it was. I think they're 11 or 12 episodes deep, and her and Benjamin, I can't remember Benjamin's last name, they really focus in on how you self-care, right? Self-care, right? We've got all this information coming at us these days. Some of the bad stuff that everyone here spoke about earlier, social media. You got, as Charles put it, everybody's about followers and not leading. You know, you got to take those moments to really invest in yourself and protect and recenter things. So Rhonda, let's see if we can't put a link in the comments for that podcast. All right. Sorry for that little detour, but I didn't want to forget that because I enjoyed it listening to her podcast last week. All right. So Greg, I've got about 12:35. So we're talking here with Charles Walker with Aurora Global Solutions and Enrique Alvarez with Vector Global Logistics. There's so many different directions we could take this conversation.
Yeah. So I'd like maybe Azalea just dropped a question in here. I'd love to pose, George, to you. So Charles to you. Why did I say George? Anyway, in your opinion, how well can we integrate military methodologies into the civilian supply chain industry? And she says she was in the Air Force ROTC in college, right? Mm-hmm. What I don't remember, Scott. You know the saying there, and saw some methods that could integrate smoothly, and others that were irrational for civilians to follow. Can you kind of give us a roadmap, or maybe even just draw the lines between military and civilian supply chain, Charles?
Actually, that's a good question. And the military methodologies are very similar to the civilians. You know, it's no difference. It's just that in the military, we're just held to a higher standard of checks and balances, you know, because like in the military, we're taught that what gets checked gets done. You know, a lot of times in the civilian sector, it's reactionary after something take place. In the military, it's check all the way through the process. Mm-hmm. And so you'll know where the bottlenecks come in at. You just be on top of the bottlenecks immediately. But in the supply chain, in the civilian sector, I've noticed that they allow things to go a long period of time until it blows up. And then they say, oh, then they want to blame. You know, in the military, there's no blame. You're responsible. Everybody's responsible for what takes place. It's a team effort. And I think a lot of methodologies that we use, even when we ship to Afghanistan, Iraq, we just have a template of how we're going to get it done. And we do lessons learned. What you do is when you go through process procedures, you want to always come back with your team and talk about what went right and what went wrong. Honestly, it's not a blame thing. It's a team effort. And we put it on the table and we say, okay, we take what works and we keep doing it. And we take what don't work and we throw it out the door. That's the only difference. Well, a lot of times people don't want to come together as a team and just admit, hey, we screwed this up. Now we're going to fix it. And then along the way for each process you're doing, it's called continuous improvement. And if you need it, you're going to continue to improve your process, and you document it and you train them the same way. Like in the military, train as you fight. You know what I'm saying? Train on the ground how we're going to fight in real life, and then become repetitive, how we learn, and then we keep doing the same thing. That's it. It's simple.
Love that. So much there, Charles. Enrique, go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think one of the key things there is we always visit what went wrong. I think the powerful statement there is to visit what went right, because, you know, I've been doing this a long time, and I have seen, I've consulted, I've worked in, and I've advised companies where they can't repeat success because they never understood at real depth what made them successful. They understood what went wrong, and they eliminated that. But you don't get great by simply eliminating what goes wrong. You have to get great by knowing, as the book you showed us, Charles, by knowing what your strengths are and continuing to evolve those as well. So that's a really powerful and rare discipline in a lot of companies.
Excellent point. All right. So Greg prompted me, and I wasn't Johnny on the spot, so I got to correct that. So Charles, don't laugh. I served in a couple different units in the Air Force. Some was hoorah, and others, one in particular, was ugh. It's almost just like that.
That's when you get punched in the gut at the bar.
So Charles, what was your rallying call in the Army? There you go. All right, perfect. You said it better than I did.
Come from the gut with the airborne good
Do you still say that in supply chain?
every day. Ooh. It means whatever, man. I said, what does who mean? It means I agree. If you say something crazy, I say who. It means whatever I want it to mean.
Yeah.
Love it. So speaking of the military, so Philip, is it McCleish? And if I got that wrong, I apologize. He's tuned in from Fort Drum, New York. He says the supply chain must be resilient during challenging times. And this is where military experience and leadership play a significant role in facing the obstacles. Great point. He also says, believe it or not, military personnel are great at thinking outside the box. What was that airborne phrase that you shared with me on the interview, Charles?
Airborne personnel don't even have a box. They just do what they do. We don't even have a box. What box? We jump at the box.
Love it. Love it. All right. So Enrique, we got to get you to, I'm sure you're chomping at the bit to share what you're piggyback on some of these comments here. So what do you think, Enrique?
No, I think first and foremost, I completely agree that the military and armed forces are great. They are a great resource, and they are top of the line when it comes to logistics and supply chain. They have actually been incredibly creative, and they've been leading innovation in that industry for years and years, as they do in other areas. So there's before anything else, just a big thanks, and I just appreciate everything our military forces do for us and for our country, and especially last year, but in general. So thank you. And Charles, again, thank you for your service. Now to your point, both Greg and Charles, I think, Charles, it's great to meet you. I mean, it's been a great conversation, and I will actually have a couple of notes already, so I follow up with you after this. But I think sharing mistakes, and it's just key, right? I think that people, as Greg said, always review what went wrong, and that's something that's true, and we do often. But just openly sharing mistakes and being okay doing them is something that's needed for healthy companies to thrive. And I think that this is something that's been ingrained in us and our children for like very early on. And I'm a little afraid that this actually has been going on even more so in this new generation, because there's like a little bit of a scare about not making mistakes. There's a fear of not making mistakes, right? And kind of it's reinforced by the school systems and the way that we're grading children, and the way that you all have to have A's or 10s or 100s, whatever the score is, as opposed to saying, hey, it's important to try new things. It's clear and obvious that if you try a new thing, you're not going to excel at it, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't try new things. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't really push yourself out of the comfort zone. So I feel that just sharing mistakes, as Charles was saying, is critical to everything from raising a kid to running a healthy company.
You're not living, you're not leading, you're not innovating if you're not trying new things. No doubt about it. Or failing. I mean, because everything's not going to work, right? Otherwise, you're playing way too safe.
And it's okay to fail, right?
Right. That's some of our greatest successes.
We all did it. We here today. We all did it. We all failed.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Let me share a couple of. So Peter calls out Vets to Industry, which is a wonderful nonprofit that really helps as a clearinghouse of resources and just folks on your side for our military members. So check out vets2industry.com or .org. I'm not sure. Amanda and Clay, if you could drop that in the comments. They partner with us on the Veteran Voices series to help make that happen. So, and Peter, thanks for supporting them. Appreciate you picking up a hoodie from their site. AA says there's always a big gap between military and civilian technologies. However, some of the best practices, either supply chain management or operations management, can be shared with us civilians without being risky. Excellent point. Excellent point.
You know, one of the things we need to face is that the military invented supply chain.
That's right.
Exactly.
They had to feed thousands of people hundreds or thousands of miles away from home. They had to move weapons and people and supplies and tools, you know, starting before history. So
exactly.
There is so much to learn there.
Environments. They had to keep the supply chain going when buildings are blown up. They have to keep it going, and they have to work through that in austere environments outside of where they come from, and they still erect buildings and push the supply chain going. So you have to respect that. And they've been going. The quartermaster corps been around before we was born, man.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, if you think about it, some of the biggest losses, Waterloo is a good example, but some of the biggest losses are because of failure to prepare in the supply chain for a military entity, right? I mean, if you don't have warm coats, it's hard to take Russia in the fall.
exactly.
Well, now if that doesn't put to risk.
Down.
All right, so we've got to move right along. We're gonna have to tee up another conversation around leadership in the weeks to come. Lots of comments I can't get to in the comments. Let's share one. Let's share a couple here though as we start to wrap up. Zay says, "Very true, Enrique. Even out of college, you can feel the pressure of knowing everything instead of cultivating curiosity and discovering oneself." That's an excellent point. But here's a segue. Francisco, thanks so much via LinkedIn for this great segue here. As much as I hate to leave this discussion, congratulations for your great show. Looking forward to hearing about Supply Chain Now in Espanol. Well, you're just in luck, Francisco, because that's what one of the things we're going to wrap on today.
Let Greg take that one.
So, hey, before we, Enrique, get you to weigh in on what to expect, I think we've got a neat little video that we've got teed up. Clay and Amanda, don't let me down. Let's see.
Yes. Si tuvieras que darle una calificación al 2020, ¿qué calificación le pondrías?
Un B.
Un 9 de 10. Un 10. Pues mis maestros le echaron muchas ganas. Un 89. Diría que cuando pasó la pandemia, como que se hicieron como nerviosos o un poco locos.
Oh,
That's cool.
I'm such a big nerd.
That's
I love that. I love that. Enrique,
cool.
that was really it's cool. It's engaging. I love that. Hey, you got kids there that are sharing what they think and their thoughts while engaging them on all things supply chain. So, Enrique, with that little video for starters, what can folks expect from Supply Chain Now in Espanol?
Yeah, so it'll be a really exciting series. I'm very, very happy that we're launching it. There's so many incredible individuals in Latin America that are doing amazing things. And for everyone that didn't quite understand or understood everything that was asked on that video, I basically just asked the children what was if they could give a score or grade to the year 2020. Me thinking as an adult, expecting that they would be destroying 2020 and the leadership we had. And they all, like, literally, I interviewed 10 kids. All of them said something positive about their their teachers, their schools. They all graded the year 2020. Like, they were really good scores. So it was fun. It's gonna be amazing. And I had a blast kind of interviewing the children for that promo video. So I want to thank them for taking the time to play with me on the video interview.
I love it. Anna Mary looks forward to it. Zay says, "Hey, Supply Chain Now in Chinese next. Hey, don't hold your breath."
Working on it.
That would be great. Yes.
Rhonda says, "So fun. The kids are the bright light with creative ideas." Rhonda,
That's right.
excellent point.
That's right.
Rhonda is right. Yes.
So, Charles, what was your take there?
I always want to involve kids in there because they're creative thinkers, man. They're unblemished in their thought process if we allow it. You know, they only get screwed up when adults put their bias and foolishness on them. If you let kids just grow, man, you'll learn a lot from kids. You just sit around and ask them just a basic question and write it down, and you'll see that their creative thinking is flowing, man. But we don't do it enough. That's all it is. We don't do it enough.
Yeah.
Out of the mouths of babes.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
And Greg, before I ask Enrique who's going to be part of that first show, I think we're dropping on Monday. Greg, what do you love about this whole initiative?
I'm first of all, I think the biggest thing is leadership comes from anywhere and can happen anywhere. Don't be afraid to fail. And frankly, I had an epiphany. You probably noticed I went a little silent there. I had an epiphany as to why these younger generations are afraid to fail and why they need the reinforcement. And I have not gotten it. I've been a bit ambivalent on this "it's okay to fail" thing until this very moment. And the reason is because participation trophies. These kids have never realized even when they have failed, because there's a 5th place trophy and there's a participation trophy. When we were younger, right? You got a 1st place trophy. When I played Kiwanis baseball, you got a 1st place trophy. 2nd place, got a team picture. End of story.
That was
right. And so you were clear. It was clear that you had not won. And now I get why we perceive, or there is such this fear of failure. Grade inflation, participation trophies, all of these things have set these kids up to be afraid to fail in any way. And look, let's face it, even if you got a trophy, you have already failed in life in some point, at some point in life. Sorry, like I just did there, and you can move on from it, like I just did there. And it's a natural thing, and it's okay. But the key is not how many times you get knocked down. The key is to get back up one more time than you get knocked down.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Well said there, Greg. And this is one of these conversations that we could take 4 or 5 hours. We'll have to bring Charles and, of course, Enrique back. Enrique, let's see here. Monday, we dropped the first episode, I believe. Who are we interviewing? Who are you interviewing?
Yeah, so it was a very interesting interview that Sofia Rivas, that you guys might know from the Supply Chain Now community, helped me with. She's going to be my co-host for some of those interviews. And we both had the very good opportunity of interviewing Josue Velazquez. Josue Velazquez is the executive director of the supply chain management program at the MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. So incredible what they're doing. Very interesting conversation. He's a really good, funny speaker and a really good person. So I enjoyed it. I hope that everyone that listens to it will enjoy it too.
Love it. Sure. And if Amanda and Clay are if I've got my facts straight, I think we're gonna have English subtitles. If you're
correct,
unilingual like I am on YouTube, I think we'll have English subtitles.
Yes, and that's a really good comment and point to make. I mean, all the interviews that we're going to be conducting in Latin America and in Spanish will have subtitles so that everyone, regardless of what language you speak, could enjoy them and learn as much as we do from them as well.
Wonderful. Well, I love this new series. I love this conversation. Charles, you were, we always talk about how some folks, they get billed and then they fail to deliver. But Charles, man, we had a high bar for you, but you surpassed it still. So
I'm just an airborne guy, man. Just airborne guy. We react, impromptu.
I love it. We'll have you back. What is but before we let you go, you and Enrique, let's make sure folks know how to connect with you both. So Charles, you're a wonderful LinkedIn follow, by the way. I know you're not big on followers, but folks need to connect and follow Charles Walker on LinkedIn. Lots of good stuff every day. But how can folks connect with you, Charles?
Well, they can connect with me on Charles at ags-georgia.com. That's my company. And also just go to ags-georgia.com and look at what we do. And especially on LinkedIn. That's the only social media I'm really on, LinkedIn, because that's enough. You don't need a whole lot of stuff.
Amen to that.
And I got a lot of great people that I've met on LinkedIn. That's why I stick with it. And I've maximized. Actually, I'm sitting here with you guys, you see? And so I use that social media for me. And everything else, I look at YouTube. If I get the YouTube channel, I go there in the morning. Every morning I go there first. And so that's how they can find me.
Yeah. Love that. Charles, I'd be surprised if you don't get some motivational speaking requests to teams to have you come in and get folks running through those walls as we were talking about earlier. But I love it. I love our repeat guests. I love your story. Again, folks can check out his full interview on his journey growing up in Alabama and career through the Army and all the countless and the ceaseless education. He's got like 17 degrees, folks. He got 17 degrees. Check that out at Veteran Voices.
Yeah,
Enrique.
Most of them got coffee stains on them.
and by the way, I agree with you. Isn't LinkedIn enough? Isn't one social channel
enough?
Enrique, same question. So many great things that the Vector Global Logistics team's up to, across, globally with supply chain, but also with nonprofits and initiatives. How can folks connect with you?
Yeah, the best way of reaching out to us is going to our website at vectorgl.com. And if you want to reach out to me personally, I think LinkedIn's the best, as Charles was saying. I just search for Enrique Alvarez Vector, and you should get my name. Yeah.
Awesome. And, I look forward to, we're going to be publishing an interview really soon with Megan with Go Beyond Profit, who had a great interview with Enrique. They're doing some really neat things, challenging leaders or helping connect leaders, but also challenging to really give back to communities across Georgia. So Enrique Alvarez, appreciate all that you do.
Thank you so much, Scott and Greg and Charles. It's been a pleasure. And as I said, I'm going to send an email right after this.
Yeah, man. We're going to link up. It's awesome. Thank you.
I love
man.
the conversations. I'm sorry, Charles.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you guys for everything, man. And yes, Enrique, we'll be talking real soon, brother.
I agree. Yes,
All right.
sir.
Big thanks to our guests here today, Enrique Alvarez with Vector Global Logistics and Charles Walker with Aurora Global Solutions.
Airborne.
Airborne. Hey, bonus coverage.
I thought we were going to get some bonus coverage.
I thought we were too. I was kind of disappointed now that he's out of the
That's all
stream.
right.
Well, so much good stuff with Charles and Enrique. I mean, that leadership element of the conversation is just one that you can talk until the cows come home. There's a lot of comments, Greg, on your perspective around, letting folks fail and just, getting real with that. Right.
We seem to have struck a nerve there, huh? Yeah. I have heard, rumblings around this whole, everyone, what is it? Participation trophy culture. And you could see it coming. So I think it's going to take as conscious an effort of leaders to overcome that, because that's imprinted. That's more than just taught. It's imprinted. It was taught at such a young age that it's going to take a lot of unlearning to get over that. Right.
Agreed. So much there. We'll have to tee up another conversation around that and maybe grab some of these folks that are in the comments here today. Hey, really quick, if you joined late, today is an opportunity. You got to register today. We've got a panel session coming up March 3rd with folks at Dell, Project Vert, Six River Systems, and the Reverse Logistics Association. If you register for this webinar, panel discussion, networking session, site visit today, you'll get a adult beverage sent to you. I think they got a professional mixologist, Greg. I know Greg knows every drink around and knows how to make it real with all the highfalutin.
That's Clay. I don't know if you know that, Scott. Clay is a mixologist.
What?
He's like a master bartender. Did you know that?
No.
Oh yeah,
man. I feel like
when we get a new studio, when we get that new studio,
oh yeah, definitely.
Everyone's going to want to come visit.
Well, you learn something new every day. But hey, y'all check out that March 3rd event. You will not be disappointed with that. You can still register after today, but if you want that mix kit, get that in today. All right. So, Greg, great show, wonderful conversation. Two of our favorite people, Enrique and Charles, and so many of our favorite people in the what we call the cheap seats, the comments. What was your one as we wrap? Hey, here we go. Your one favorite comment, thought, you name it, key takeaway from today.
Leadership from anywhere. I just hope more people recognize that is you don't have to lead the world to be a leader. You don't even have to lead other people. You just have to lead an initiative, right? You just have to take initiative. That is leadership, and understand that is leadership training, even if you're only giving it to yourself. But yeah, you can lead from anywhere. That's the most important thing for people to understand. Yeah.
Agreed. One of my favorite, again, I got plenty of pages of notes.
Oh, sure. You make me only give one. No, I got the sound off twice already, so I'm good. Go for it.
Well, one of my favorite things with both Charles and Enrique that I think you can see anytime you connect with those two folks, whether that's here on a stream, on a sidebar conference call, on the phone, they are about as genuine as folks come. What you see is what you get with both. And that is talk about leadership, best practices. That's one of the most powerful things, right? Because folks can smell something fake from 3 miles away. So these are great people doing big things and have big personalities. And I love that. And it comes from a very real spot. So with that said, that is
Oh, come on. Give us 2 and 3, man. We're
I
just a
gotta keep
little
those.
bit over an hour. If you've got a couple others, this is your shot. It's your show. Take it.
It was chock full. I mean, it was chock full of things. Too much to try to rattle off now. Lots of wonderful comments we couldn't get to.
Yeah.
Perspective from our community, but it's one of those wide ranging conversations. We touched on a little bit of everything. It was like the Ryan's buffet here today on supply chain now.
Okay.
But we'll have to have it back. We'll have to have. I'm looking forward to sharing some of our upcoming interviews that a lot of them touch on leadership. Looking forward to finishing Tequila Sunrise today with Dawn, and you can't forget tomorrow. I should have added this to our visuals. We've got our reverse logistics series with our friends from the Reverse Logistics Association. So y'all tune in tomorrow at 12 noon, where we'll be featuring Tony Shirota, who leads the RLA, and a business leader from Inmar. I can't remember Curtis's last name, but you're not going to want to miss that live stream. As Azalea says, good old Ryan's.
I bet I was just thinking, I bet everyone is missing buffets right now. I don't even really like buffets, but now I want one. Right.
Hey, we grew up on Ryan's and Western Sizzling in Aiken County, South
Golden
Carolina.
Corral. Yeah, man. Right. Bonanza.
It's good to finish on a high note, right?
Let's go get something to eat.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, really enjoyed the conversation today. Thanks so much for taking time out to hear really what Enrique and Charles and Greg and all the comments from the community. Really appreciate that. Hey, you can learn more. If you like conversations like this, check us out at supplychainnow.com. Stay tuned for the new website release. It's right around the corner. Amanda and the team have been working really hard on that. It'll be easier to find.
That.
I know. I stay in trouble, but hey, it's going to be much easier to find information, engage, and learn from all these different shows.
Well, as long as we're giving it up, it's fantastic looking. It's easy to navigate. I mean, it's an honor to be associated with this site. I got to tell you, you guys are going to love it.
Highfalutin stuff. But hey, on behalf of our entire team here, on behalf of Greg White and Amanda and Clay and Allie, I'm not sure who is live tweeting for us today. Scott Luton signing off just for now. But hey, challenging you just like we challenge our team every day. Do good, give forward, be the change that's needed. Be like Charles and Enrique. Goodness gracious. And on that note, we'll see you next time here on Supply Chain Now. Thanks, everybody.